Hey there, climatologists. That's the name for scientists that study the weather. How are you today? Ooh, it sounds like most of us are in a good mood. That's great. I am too. I'm enjoying our beautiful weather and being back with my students. I can't complain. Speaking of weather, isn't that what we're exploring this week? Yes, we're exploring the sky and weather because of questions that students submitted. We've already answered our first question, why is the sky blue? And we've answered most of the questions from yesterday, like, are there different types of clouds? Is overcast a cloud? And today, we will watch an experiment that will help us understand fog. Let's start the clip of the experiment. I think you'll recognize the scientist in it. I hope you're able to gather the materials needed for our fog experiment. I have mine here. Remember, you need a jar, really hot water, a strainer, ice cubes, and an adult's help. I also made this visual list with labels that you can copy in a moment. It is then when we're going to use these items to make some fog and really understand how it's made. Earlier I mentioned that fog is made from cool air mixing with warm, humid air. This is a frequent occurrence in San Francisco because of where we are placed. Let's think about why our materials will help us with that. So fog is the mixing of hot, humid air and cool air. Which of our materials might represent the hot, humid air? The hot water will represent the hot, humid air. What material will represent the cool air in this scenario? Yes, the ice will represent the cool air. Great, we have the two important components for making fog. Now remember, the west side of the city experiences the most intense fog because the hills kind of lock it in. I think we're ready to get our experiment started. You can follow along with me or just watch and try it later. But please be sure to do this in the presence of an adult. So our first step is to fill the jar with hot water. We have to let it sit there for 1 whole minute or 60 seconds. And let me go ahead and do that. So remember to do this as an adult. I'm gonna pour it in. Okay, I'm gonna set a timer for 1 minute or 60 seconds for my older students that already know. Great, now that I've set a timer, we can read over our materials list while we wait. Let's see what we have. A jar, really hot water, a strainer, and ice cubes. So far, we've only used the water in the jar, and we should get the next materials ready while we wait. We can prep by putting the ice cubes in the strainer ahead of time. Oh no, Maestra's ice cubes are stuck. Still got more time on our jar. Ooh, almost time. Okay. Looks like our jar is ready. Now we're going to pour out most of the water and keep about 1 inch at the bottom. Let's do that. If you don't know how much 1 inch is, just put 1 or 2 fingers at the bottom and that should be a good way to measure. And again, we are doing this with adults because this water is hot. Okay, great. Now let's put our strainer with the ice cubes on the top and see what happens. All right, I'm gonna wait. There we go. And sometimes you might need to activate it a little bit more. Put a little more hot water. Do we notice anything yet?
Hola, amiguitos. Maestra Meza. Our experiment didn't really work while we were filming, so I thought I'd give it a try at home. I changed 2 things. I used water that was even hotter, and instead of using a jar, I used a really big mug. I'm going to put this on top to make sure the heat really stays in there and warms up the mug so that we can make sure that we have our hot, humid air. And I'm going to go get what's going to represent our cool air with the ice cubes. Make sure they are as cold as they can be. I wonder if I should use a bigger strainer next time too. All right, so we'll let that sit for a little bit longer just to make sure the mug gets really, really, really hot and humid in there. Yeah, I can see that there's like sweat on the top of the mug. All right, so we pour it out until we have maybe an inch left, like that. And then we add our cool air. Let's see if we, whoa, do you see that? I'm gonna pretend that I'm the wind and that this is Twin Peaks. Let's see what happens with our fog. Does it move or does it stay in the same place? Do you see it just coming right up out of here? It's so cool, amigos. Awesome. See if that does anything.
Did you watch the experiment, scientists? Great! If you've been watching SF Loves Learning for a while, you've probably already seen this, but it's still very helpful information. So our fog in San Francisco is created because of the hot and cold. But what is it? Well, fog is a cloud that is very low or on the ground. When you're walking through fog, you're actually walking through clouds. Now that is really cool. How exciting! Well, scientists, our time is up for today, but we will conclude our learning of the big blue sky tomorrow. I can't wait to see you then.